Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever stopped to wonder why your workplace is set up the way it is? Well, today we're going to crack open the manager's toolkit and look at these powerful ideas built up over a century that pretty much shape every single modern company, whether we notice it or not. So let's dive in and trace the evolution of management itself.
It really all boils down to this one single fundamental question. It's something leaders have been wrestling with forever. Is the secret sauce strict control? Or is it total freedom? Or maybe, I don't know, some kind of perfect scientific formula? This is the puzzle that has sparked every single management revolution we're about to explore. Because at the end of the day, the story of management is really just the story of us trying to figure out how to get things done together. It's this constant search for the best way to organize ourselves to do amazing things. From building the very first cars to launching the latest app on your phone. All right, so our story kicks off in the smokestacks of the early 20th century. Think massive factories, industrial power. And the first big answer to that management question, it wasn't some deep philosophical idea. Nope, it was ruthlessly scientific. The goal? Simple, to build an organization that ran like a perfect, well-oiled machine. And the main guy behind this was Frederick W. Taylor. His thinking was crystal clear. For him, management was all about optimization. It's a science. You figure out exactly what you want someone to do, and then you make sure they do it in the absolute best, most efficient, and cheapest way possible, period. So this whole approach got a name, scientific management. And the big idea was this. You take any job and you just break it down into the tiniest, simplest little pieces. You study each piece, and then you train workers to do those little actions perfectly, over and over again. No more guesswork, no relying on intuition, just the cold, hard, organized study of the work itself. And this whole new way of thinking was built on a foundation of data. The message to the bosses was pretty blunt. Stop relying on tradition. Stop going with your gut feeling. Instead, you need to observe the work. You have to measure every single action, experiment with new ways of doing things, and then, only then, do you make decisions based purely on the facts. And it was all in this relentless hunt to eliminate any and all waste. The holy grail, the ultimate prize in this new science of work, was to find the one best way to do any given task. In this worldview, an organization wasn't really a collection of people anymore. It was a machine, a complex, finely tuned machine. And the workers? Well, they were the critical, but totally interchangeable parts that made that machine run. But as you can probably guess, treating people like cogs in a machine, well, that can only get you so far. So, a powerful new wave of thinking started to bubble up. People began arguing that to really understand work, you had to understand the people doing the work. This was the human revolution. And it saw the organization not as a machine, but as a community. And wow, the contrast here is just night and day. The focus shifts dramatically. We go from efficiency to people. From just cogs in a machine to actual social beings whose feelings and relationships are seen as key to getting things done. The driving force is no longer just control and tasks, it's about cooperation and real, genuine motivation. This new philosophy was built on entirely different pillars. The goal was now harmony, not conflict. You wanted management and workers to cooperate, to be partners. It even called for a mental revolution, which is just a fancy way of saying that both sides needed to wake up and realize they were on the same team, with a shared interest in success. And maybe most important of all, it was about creating a real sense of belonging, making people feel like they were valued members of a community. Okay, so this human-focused stuff sounds great, right? But managers still needed a practical playbook. They were asking, what do we actually do all day? Well, a guy named Henri Fayol came along and provided one. He laid out these 5 functions of management. And these core activities: planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. I mean, even today, they form the bedrock of a manager's daily job. So let's recap. We've seen the organization as a machine, and we've seen it as a community. But what if it's not one or the other? What if it's both and more? Modern management theory kind of combines these views into something way more holistic,
the organization as a living, breathing organism.
The formal name for this is systems theory, and it argues that an organization isn't just a bunch of separate departments doing their own thing. Nope, it's a single interconnected system. It takes in inputs, things like resources and ideas, it transforms them, and it produces outputs. But, and this is the really crucial part, it uses feedback from the outside world to constantly adapt and evolve. So, what does this actually mean? It means you can't just look at one department in isolation anymore. A decision made over in marketing is going to send ripples through finance and production. Every single part of the system affects every other part. This view is also super multidisciplinary, pulling in ideas from psychology, economics, sociology, whatever it takes to understand the organization as a whole. And ultimately, this all leads us back to this really powerful metaphor. The organization isn't a static machine that you just build and turn on. It's a living organism. It has to sense and respond to what's happening around it. What are competitors doing? What do customers want? What new technology just dropped? If it can't adapt, it just won't survive. It's in a constant state of change. So after this whole journey from machine to organism, what does it all mean for a manager today? Well, it means they don't get just one tool to solve every problem. They get a whole toolkit, and it's filled with the best lessons from each of these different eras. And you can really see how our entire journey comes together in these 3 core skills every modern manager needs. First, you've got your technical skills, knowing how to actually do specific tasks. That's a direct legacy of scientific management. Then you have human skills, the ability to work well with other people, to motivate them. That comes straight out of the human relations movement. And finally, conceptual skills, the ability to see the big picture, the whole system. And that's the gift of systems theory. And this, right here, is the ultimate lesson. Great management isn't about blindly picking one playbook and sticking with it. It's all about adaptability. It's about looking at a situation and pulling the right tool from the toolkit. Sometimes that means optimizing a process like a scientist. Other times it means inspiring a team like a community builder. And sometimes it means helping the entire system adapt to a new reality. Which leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question to think about. We've journeyed from machine to community to organism. But now, with things like AI and automation completely redefining what work even means, what comes next? What's going to be the 4th revolution in management? That's something for all of us to chew on. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.